Attention bowlers, we are going to get started. Welcome back to Boutwells Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire for another exciting Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour match. I'm Steve Kelly on the call. This is a doubleheader today. This is Kristen Poirier versus Chyrel Kneeland and Matt Goodale versus Demetri Dellas. This match is 5 strings and 14 points up for grabs, 2 points for string, 4 for total pinfall, with ties splitting points. Matt Goodale leads off, not with a headpin shot, but off to the right. Kristen Poirier with similar results. Good as always to have you along with us. Happy New Year. This match was live streamed on January 4th, 2025 and available for rewatching anytime upon the conclusion of this match. That's a spare for Matt Goodale to start out. Kristen Poirier pins are still mixing. The 7, 8, 6, and 1 are still on the deck. Kristen Poirier looking to clean up, and she'll take a 7 box to open up. So again, folks, my name is Steve Kelly. It's good as always to have you along with us. For those interested, I'd like to highlight a few things. First, this broadcast should have subtitles and live captioning enabled, so if you enjoyed this feature, please feel free to enable it in the controls below. If you're watching this broadcast on YouTube, the transcript feature will also likely be available. And that's Matt Goodale with an 8 fill on his spare on the head pin. Kristen Poirier with a shot on the 4 pin, just a single pin drop. Folks, throughout the match, I'll be describing the play-by-play action as well as providing up-to-the-minute scoring to the best of my ability. Keep an eye on the unofficial scoreboard on your screen. It's here for the benefit of the broadcast. And look at that awesome spare by Kristen Poirier. Way to turn a lemon drop into a spare. That's a fantastic opening statement by Kristen Poirier. Matt Goodale, meanwhile, will complete with a 10 box for 28 after 2. Matt Goodale is in the black on your right. Kristen Poirier is in the purple on your left. This match is not being bowled head-to-head today. The bowlers have elected to bowl opposite of one another. That's why you see Matt Goodale and Kristen Poirier bowling side by side. Kristen Poirier on a spare. She'll take a 2 on it, on the 6 pin. And I may occasionally pause to verify scores if things seem out of sync or if things just seem wrong, so we'll double-check that every once in a while. I appreciate your patience when that happens. If you're watching us on YouTube later on, there may be times where I may include notes in the description if I catch scoring errors in post-production, so please be sure to also check those out if there are any. If you're new to the ACST or Candlepin bowling in general, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to you and hope you enjoy this broadcast and Candlepin bowling as a whole. And that's Kristen Poirier with a 9 box. Meanwhile, Matt Goodale finished with a 10. That's 38 after 3 for Matt Goodale and 28 after 3 for Kristen Poirier. Matt Goodale on the head pin. A thick hit, but drops 7, leaves a split, the 7, 10, 6. Kristen Poirier was off to the left with a 5 drop. Goodale will lead off first on the 6, 10, 7 and the ball. Wow, pinballs around on both sidewalls and leaves only the 6. Takes the 7 and the 10. It would have been a great spare if it was just a 7 and a 10. Kristen Poirier is on the object pin, but leaves the 7 and the 10 on the deck. Goodale is shooting at the 6. Matt Goodale will leave it on the table for a 9. Kristen Poirier all the while on the 7-10 with a lumberyard of wood. She'll take 1 and leave 1 for a 9 box. That puts Kristen Poirier at 37 after 4. Oops, my apologies. I'm following the official scoreboard down on the lanes. It appears that Kristen Poirier had a 6 in the first. So, again, see also my notes before about occasionally verifying scores. There is an off-screen electronic scoreboard that the bowlers maintain themselves separately, so I'm going to be following that. And that will be the official record, as the bowlers always have the official record in terms of the scores. The stream score is always unofficial. Matt Goodale was off to the right of the headpin on his first ball. Second ball is a correction, but he leaves the 2, 4, 7. Kristen Poirier was on the headpin with a 7 drop, leaves the 5, 7, 8. Second ball deflects the wood and leaves everything on the deck. Matt Goodale down there is shooting for a 10 box on the 2, 4, 7. Matt Goodale 3 for 4 on the headpin today. Or excuse me, 3 for 5. That's a 9 box for Matt Goodale for a 56 half to start out. Kristen Poirier will take 2 and leave the 7 for a 9 box. That should be 45 after 3 for Kristen Poirier. And 56 after 5 for Matt Goodale. And double checking those scores are confirmed. So we're going to be swapping over to our other bowlers now for the first time today. The top of the first of 5 games today. That is Demetri Dellas on your right in the black shirt, and Chyrel Kneeland on the left, also in the black shirt. Again, the bowlers are not bowling head-to-head today. Just bear that in mind. Demetri Dellas will lead off first on the head pin, and look at that, Demetri Dellas with an opening strike. Right on the head pin, and everything falls, and Chyrel Kneeland, meanwhile, on the head pin, but leaves a bucket of 5 on the left plus the 10. 7, 8, 10, 4, 5, 2 is on lane 5. And Chyrel Kneeland is firing on the bucket of 5. She's just a little bit off the left of the bucket of 5. Leaves 4 on the deck. That's the 8, the 10, the 2, and the 5. Shooting for a 10 box with a 6 box minimum, Chyrel Kneeland. She fires. She'll take the 2 and the 5, leaving the 8 and the 10 for an 8 box opener for Chyrel Kneeland. Demetri Dellas opens up with a strike, in case you missed it. Talking about Demetri Dellas. Demetri Dellas carries a season record of 74-24 with 7 matches played. It's a 3.08 win-loss ratio. Demetri Dellas on the double, and he is on the double. Demetri Dellas has opened up hot. Hot to go with a strike, a double strike. 30 and bonus balls after 2 for Demetri Dellas. Chyrel Kneeland all the while. Gets ready to fire. She's off to the left of the head pin, just a little bit off, takes 3, takes a left side Candlepin corner. She prepares to fire. And she's on it, but just a little bit off to the left. The ball tails about halfway down the lane, taking the 2 pin and leaving the 1, the 5, the 3, the 6, the 9, and the 10 on the deck for Chyrel Kneeland. Demetri Dellas so far is perfect. He could throw a perfect game. You never know when you're going to see a perfect game in Candlepin bowling. It's never been done. And that will be a 5 box for Chyrel Kneeland. Somewhat of a disappointing box there, but still plenty of time. It's still very early. Demetri Dellas has a home record here at Boutwells of 44-12 with 4 matches played with a 3.67 win-loss ratio. When he's away, he's 30-12 with 3 matches played, a 2.50 win-loss ratio. Demetri Dellas for the triple. And unfortunately, it's not going to be a triple. He was off to the left of the head pin, drops 7. So a 27 first box. Second box will complete the fill. Chyrel Kneeland drops 9, though, leaving the 5. Demetri Dellas on the 1, 8, 9. Grazes the right of the 1 and leaves the 8 and the 9 for a 9 fill for 46 after 2. 46 after 2. That is, you don't get to say that often. Chyrel Kneeland just misses the 5. Dellas for the 10, and he'll miss the 4 and take a 9. But 55 after 3 is nothing to shake a stick at. Chyrel Kneeland will miss the 2nd and get the 3rd. Some might call that a Paul Grant special, where you, again, miss the 2nd and get the 3rd on a spare opportunity. That's a $1 donation to Candlepins for Cancer per occurrence. Demetri Dellas, meanwhile, on the head pin, a little bit too hard. A 4-pin shot spread eagle. Straight down the center, punched it right in the face. Can't punch it in the face too hard, though. Chyrel Kneeland on the 3 pin, drops 8 with the backdoor action. 1 and 9. Demetri Dellas on the eagle. Plays the right, a little bit too much to the right. Pins are still mixing. Leaves 2 out of it. No spare for Demetri Dellas. Leaving the 3 and the 7. Chyrel Kneeland on the 1 and the 9 for a spare. And will it come around to take the 9? It won't. She'll hit the object pin, but she'll leave the 9 on the deck. Dellas will not go for the object pin, but still take a 10 regardless. That's some of that Boutwells sidewall action. That's a 10 for 65 after 4. Chyrel Kneeland will take a 10 for 33 after 4. Chyrel Kneeland has a season record of 79-47 with 9 matches played, a 1.68 win-loss ratio. Her home record is 31-25 with 4 matches played, 1.24 win-loss ratio when she's away. She has a record of 48-22 with 5 matches played. That's a 2.18 win-loss ratio. It's a 9 drop for Demetri Dellas. And for Chyrel Kneeland, that's a 6 drop. She leaves the 1, the 2, the 4, and the 9 on the deck. Demetri Dellas is shooting at the 5 for a single pin spare opportunity. And he'll get it. He'll finish with a mark 3 for 5 And nearly perfect aside from the 9 box in the third for 75 and a bonus for Demetri Dellas to start the top of the first. Chyrel Kneeland is shooting at the 1, the 2, the 4, and the 9 for a spare leave, or spare opportunity. Chyrel's just a little bit off. She's on the 4, leaves the 1, the 2, and the 9. For the 10 box and a 7 box minimum. Chyrel Kneeland will leave the 9. That sleeper has been hard to take today. She'll take 42 after 5, after all said and done. To assess the leads, Kristen Poirier is up in the total by 3 and up in the game by 3. 45 to Chyrel Kneeland's 42 at the end of the top of the first. At the end of the top of the first for Matt Goodale and Demetri Dellas. Demetri Dellas is up in the total by 19 and a ball with 75 and a bonus after 5, while Matt Goodale maintains 56 after 5. That is your score update at the end of the top of the first here on the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. It is great to have you along with us. I'm Steve Kelly down back here, and that's Kristen Poirier in the purple on your right, and Matt Goodale on the left. Kristen Poirier opens with a head pin shot on the 6. Matt Goodale opens up with a head pin shot, dropping 9. Kristen Poirier on the 4. On a pile of 4 on the right side. She'll take 2 and leave 2. And Matt Goodale will just miss his spare on the single. Kristen Poirier carries a season record of 38 and 74 with 8 matches played. That's a .51 win-loss ratio. She'll take an 8 box, and Matt Goodale will take a 10. Kristen Poirier's home record is 18 and 38 with 4 matches played. That's a .47 win-loss ratio. When she's away, she's 20 and 36 with 4 matches played. A .56 win-loss ratio. Her season average is 92.45. Home average 93.6. Away average 91.3. Again, this is a Class C and E doubleheader today. Chyrel Kneeland and Kristen Poirier on Class E. Matt Goodale and Demetri Dellas are in Class C. And that's Matt Goodale with a left side half Worcester plus a friend, I believe, and Kristen Poirier with a 7 drop, but she wasn't on the head pin. And she'll take a spare. That was a fantastic mark by Kristen Poirier. Nice light hit on the 1-3-10, took everything out. Matt Goodale is still chopping wood down there, leaving the 4, I believe, the 4, the 6, the 3, and the 7. No wood. Hopefully he can take 2 for a 10 box. Got to pick 2 sticks and hope the other 2 go. And he plays a little bit too much to the right for a 7 box for 73 after 7 for Matt Goodale and 63 and a bonus for Kristen Poirier. Those scores are confirmed. I do have one score correction to announce. It appears that Chyrel Kneeland had 43 after 5 instead of 42, and I am just going to double check in the background. It was the second box. It was a 6 instead of a 5, apparently. So I will key that in. Again, the bowlers have the official say. That's Kristen Poirier with a nice head pin shot and a 6 drop, 6 fill on her spare. And Matt Goodale has a split, an 8 drop of the 3 and the 7. Kristen Poirier is shooting at the 3-5-9, and will she get a double spare? Oh, the wood just defeats that effort. It was a great shot on the object pins. Matt Goodale on the 6-7. Will the wood come over to take the 7? We're waiting. Will it go? It almost goes, but it doesn't quite go. Both bowlers missed their spares. They left 1 pin on the deck. Both shots were spare-worthy. Kristen Poirier, right on it, takes a 10. Matt Goodale will take a 9. 82 after 8 for Matt Goodale and 80 after 8 for Kristen Poirier. Both bowlers, awesome first games here. And to finish my thought earlier, Chyrel Kneeland is 43 after 5. Demetri Dellas has 75 and a bonus after 5 after the score corrections have settled in. Now we are back in sync. Kristen Poirier is just to the right of the head pin, takes a right side Candlepin corner drop of 3. Matt Goodale is on the head pin and takes a split. The 4-6, 2-7, 10 are on the deck. Kristen Poirier versus a chunk of pins. She'll take a few off the left side, leaving the center diamond in the left 7 pin in the back row, back left corner. Matt Goodale on your left on lane 5. He shoots at the spread eagle minus the 3, and he sails through the middle, hits a piece of wood, takes nothing. No mark for either bowler. 5 box or greater for Kristen Poirier on the 3rd. She'll take 1 more for a 6. Matt Goodale with a bouncy ball. He'll take a 5. So Kristen Poirier with 85 and 9, and Matt Goodale with 87 and 9. That's the story as of the 9th box at the bottom of the 1st for these 2 bowlers. Here on the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour, it's great to have you along. Matt Goodale. Let's talk about Matt Goodale with a season record of 71 and 41 with 8 matches played. He's in Class C North Division 4. He has a home record of 41 and 29 and an away record of 30 and 12. Kristen Poirier was on the head pin, not on the head pin, dropping 5. Matt Goodale is on the head pin, dropping 7. So there's a piece of wood that's probably out of play. 3, 6, 10 for Matt Goodale. The wood is still rolling. In the official rules, we have to wait till the wood is done settling before we can do anything with it. And meanwhile, Kristen Poirier is going to fire her next ball. No spare. She leaves the 1, the 2, and the 7. And we just wait for Demetri Dellas to very carefully and precariously remove that piece of wood without touching anything else to avoid an interference call. And he does successfully. So 3, 6, 10 spare shot for Matt Goodale right now. He'll be firing on that. 3, 6, 10. And he's got it. That's a spare for Matt Goodale, and that's 97 and a bonus in the 10th. And Demetri Dellas, not Demetri Dellas, Kristen Poirier is shooting at the 1, 2, 7. She'll take the 2, leave the 1 and the 7. That's an 8 box for 93 in 10. That's the end of the first game for Kristen Poirier. Matt Goodale still has 1 more ball, so we'll switch back to our feed here real quick. But that's 93 after 10 for Kristen Poirier. Matt Goodale's just throwing 1 more ball to complete his spare shot, the spare thought. He's on the head pin, and how about that for a fill? A 10 fill for 107 for Matt Goodale. Fantastic way to end it and get over the hump of 100. And to beat Matt Goodale's benchmark, well, his away average is 101.5, so he's right on the money there. 107 first game for Matt Goodale, 93 first game for Kristen Poirier. Kristen Poirier is over average for away and very close to her home average, and Matt Goodale exceeded his away average, so that's the story for Matt Goodale and Kristen Poirier at the end of the first. Chyrel Kneeland is just to the right of the head pin. Dellas on a spare fill. He drops 7 on the head pin, leaves a split of 5, 7, 8. And Chyrel Kneeland leaves 2 on the deck. And Demetri Dellas just whiffs that next ball. As the Greek phrase states, Tina Stupo, what can I tell you? And Demetri Dellas takes the 5, leaves the 7 and the 8 for an 8. Chyrel Kneeland will also take an 8. That's 90 and 6 for Dellas. 90 in 6, you like to say that. And then 51 in 6 for Chyrel Kneeland. Those scores are confirmed. Demetri Dellas is 5 for 6 on the head pin today. Chyrel Kneeland is 2 for 6 on the head pin today so far. Chyrel Kneeland takes a 7 drop, leaves the 1, 8, 9. And that's a 7 drop for Demetri Dellas as well on the 1, 2, 4. Chyrel Kneeland firing on the 1, 8, 9. There's a lot of wood. This is kind of a shot that you think might go easily. Sometimes it goes in some houses and sometimes it doesn't. But Chyrel Kneeland is right on the money, but you see that? That was kind of what I was worried about. Chyrel doesn't get her spare, but Demetri Dellas does. He runs down the 3 for a spare for 100 and a bonus after 7. And Chyrel Kneeland for the 10 box. She'll clean up for a nice 10 box. That's 61 after 7 for Chyrel Kneeland. 100 and a bonus after 7 for Demetri Dellas. Demetri Dellas' season average is 114.35 with a home average of 115.1 and an away average of 113.6. Chyrel Kneeland's season average is 98.25 with a home average of 96.0 and an away average of 100.5. 6 drop for Chyrel Kneeland and a 7 drop for Demetri Dellas on the head pin. He's getting a little bit unlucky with these splits. Chyrel Kneeland leaves the 1, the 4, the 7, and the 9 on the deck. Kneeland fires. Just a little bit off. Demetri Dellas trying to get a kick. The kick is no good. 6, 7, 9 remain on the deck. Chyrel Kneeland. She fires, leaves the head pin for a 9. And Demetri Dellas picks a stick, leaves 2, takes 8. 115 in 8 for Demetri Dellas. 70 and 8 for Chyrel Kneeland. Kristen Poirier has an early lead in the 8th, 79 to 70. Dellas is above Goodale, 115 to 82 in the 8th. Chyrel Kneeland leads off. To the left of the head pin, drops a few. Demetri Dellas is on the head pin, drops a nice 9, leaves the 2 on the deck. Chyrel Kneeland's got a pile of pins to work with. The 1, the 5, the 3, the 6, the 7, the 9, the 10. Chyrel Kneeland is on the 1-3 pocket and takes everything but the 5. That was a great spare shot. It looked like it was going to be a great spare shot. And it wasn't for lack of trying. It was a good ball. Sometimes they just don't go. Demetri Dellas for a mark, and he's still on the money for the marks. 125. And a bonus in the 9th. His 5th mark of the game. And Chyrel Kneeland will take a 10 box. 80 after 9 for Chyrel Kneeland. Down by 5 to Kristen Poirier's 85. With Demetri Dellas and Matt Goodale, it's a bit of a runaway at this point. Dellas has already exceeded Matt Goodale's 107. But Chyrel Kneeland will lead off first. Chyrel Kneeland in the black shirt on lane 6 on your right. She fires. The ball tails the left, but a little bit too late. And Demetri Dellas will take a nice 8 fill on his spare. Not on the head pin, but leaves the 1 and the 9 on the deck. Let's see what he can do with that. 133 in the 9th for Demetri Dellas. Not Kristen Poirier. Chyrel Kneeland with a nice spare. Look at that. And Demetri Dellas, another spare as well. The fireworks are flying. Happy New Year fireworks here at Boutwells Bowling Center. 143 and a bonus for Demetri Dellas and 90 and a bonus for Chyrel Kneeland. Chyrel Kneeland's film may take the first game over Kristen Poirier's 93. Close games in Class E here. Chyrel Kneeland, her final ball on the fill. It's going to be a 3. And Demetri Dellas with a 4 fill. Both fills a little bit light. All right, so those scores are confirmed. Just took a second to make sure they were right. Demetri Dellas finishes with a 6 mark 147 for Demetri Dellas. Matt Goodale with a 2 mark 107. Demetri Dellas takes the first game by 40. Chyrel Kneeland will tie with Kristen Poirier 93 to 93. Kristen Poirier managed to hold on to that 1 point for the tie. It's 2 points for win, 1 for tie. But anyways, we are going to move on to the second game here. As we just quickly reset here for the second game. It's Kristen Poirier on your left and Matt Goodale on the right. Matt Goodale with an 8 drop. He leaves the 4-5-3. Kristen Poirier is on the head pin and drops 6. 4-6-2-7. Matt Goodale's got the right side triangle, the 3-5-6, and the spot of the 3 is a little bit off. And I think because that spot was a little bit off, he punches right through. Kristen Poirier almost gets the spare. She gets the 3 on the left and can't quite get the kick over to get the 6. That is a difficult shot to convert. Matt Goodale picks a stick and takes 9. Kristen Poirier will take 9 as well. Both bowlers opening up with 9 after 1. In case you missed it, Kristen Poirier finished the first game with 93, tying Chyrel Kneeland with 93. Matt Goodale with a 107, down by 42. Demetri Dellas' monster 6 mark 147. Matt Goodale, a bit of a wild pitch off to the right, gets a bit of a kick. Kristen Poirier, similar story, but she gets a way better mix of 7. That's the 3-4-7 for Kristen Poirier on the left, and Matt Goodale's got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9. The pile of pins in the center, he chops 2 more out, leaves the 1, 2, 4, 9. Kristen Poirier, 3-4-7. And it goes! Kristen Poirier with an awesome methodical spare there. It was just a light enough hit to get all of the pieces of wood, all of their ducks in a row. That's an 8 box for Matt Goodale for 17 after 1. Great spare by Kristen Poirier. That was two awesome spares for Kristen today. 19 after 2 and a bonus. Kristen Poirier's high single is 123. Her high series is 511 this season with 5 strikes, 47 spares, and 62 tens. That's a 7 drop for Matt Goodale. And Kristen Poirier will fill with 5. Not on the head pin, leaves the 6-pack. No, not the 6-pack. It's a 5-pack, excuse me. And Matt Goodale with a spare. 27 and a bonus after 3. So Matt Goodale took the spare. And Kristen Poirier will clean up for an 8. 32 after 3 for Kristen Poirier. 27 and a bonus after 3 for Matt Goodale. Chyrel Kneeland's perfect box percentage is... Kristen Poirier's perfect box percentage is 29%. Her seasonal total pins, 36.98. Overall, she's 4th in the North Division 1 and the 8th in the wild card as of right now. That's a 6 fill for Matt Goodale. Now the head pin leaves the 1-2-8-9. And Kristen Poirier will just take out the 10. A nice 9-pin strike spare on the second ball, possibly. Matt Goodale punches 1. Leaves the 1-2-8. Kristen Poirier on the retry on the 1-2 pocket. Great second ball. Leaves the 3 in the sleeper 9. Great second ball in the pocket. Matt Goodale will take a 9. And Kristen Poirier will take 10. She'll take the front and the sleeper out. Both bowlers are at 42 after 3. That is confirmed. Kristen Poirier is 4 for 14 on the head pin today. Chyrel Kneeland currently 2 for 10. Matt Goodale 9 for 14 on the head pin. Demetri Dellas 7 for 10. And that's Matt Goodale just off to the right on the first ball. Takes a right side Candlepin corner. Kristen Poirier gets a nice mix of 6, leaving the 1, 8, 9, 10. I think that could go. Matt Goodale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. And he takes a few, leaves 4 on the deck. Kristen Poirier on the head pin, and she'll take the 10 and leave the 8 and the 9. That light hit didn't quite pay off that time. Matt Goodale will pick a stick and take 7 for 49 after 5 to finish his half. Kristen Poirier will take 9, maybe 10. It's going to be 9 for 51 after 5 for Kristen Poirier. 51 after 5 for Kristen Poirier with 1 mark, and Matt Goodale with 1 mark at the top of the second. 49 after 5. That is your score update. And now the opposite bowlers will be returning to the approaches for the second time to bowl their second first half today here on the ACST. And it's great to have you along with us today, folks. I'm Steve Kelly back here. That is Demetri Dellas down there on the right, and Chyrel Kneeland in the black on your left. Both bowlers have black shirts. A lot of black shirts today. And Demetri Dellas opening up with a 9 drop. Leaves the 9 on the deck. Chyrel Kneeland on the 1-3 pocket. It's a bit of a oddly thin hit. Leaves the left side bucket of 5. Demetri Dellas will fire on the 9 first. Dellas takes the spare, takes the single, right on target. Precision is Demetri Dellas' game. Chyrel Kneeland on the 2-4-5-7-8. And just off to the right, Chyrel Kneeland on the bucket of 5 for the 10 box on the retry. Demetri Dellas has a high single this season of 159 and a high series of 630, if you can believe that. 25 strikes, 90 spares, and 91 tens for Demetri Dellas. 58% perfect box percentage with a 4,006 seasonal total pin total. And that's a 9 box for Chyrel Kneeland, 9 after 1. Overall, Demetri Dellas is first in C North Division 2 and overall first place in Class C North. Chyrel Kneeland has a high single of 118 and a high series of 527 with 9 strikes, 78 spares, and 78 tens, a perfect box percentage of 37%. Chyrel Kneeland has 4,432 seasonal total pins. That's an 8 fill for Demetri Dellas all the while. 8 drop. Chyrel Kneeland fires. First ball, opening pitch. Off to the left. Takes 2. And Dellas for the spare on the 3-5. With Wood to help. And he'll sweep it down for a spare. Second spare in a row for Demetri Dellas, opening up hot with marks again, just like in the first. And Chyrel Kneeland, not to be outdone, she's right in the pocket. Leaves the 6-10. It was a great ball. Just didn't mix out to take them all out. Chyrel Kneeland is third in Division 2 of Class E North. She's 5th in the wild card. And that will be an 8 box for Chyrel Kneeland for 17 after 2. 28 and a bonus after 2 for Demetri Dellas. Kristen Poirier has totaled 13 in fills, averaging 4.3 per mark. Chyrel has totaled 3, averaging 3 per mark. Demetri Dellas has totaled 60 in fills, averaging 7.5 per mark, and that's a 9 fill for Demetri Dellas. Speaking of fills and fill totals and fill averages, Chyrel Kneeland is on the head pin for a 5 drop and a spare. Split, that is, not spare. Split, not a spare yet. That's Demetri Dellas, though, on another single pin wood-assisted spare for 47 after 3 and a bonus. 3 marks in a row for Demetri Dellas. That's $50 in bonus money if this was the Channel 5 show. If you know, you know. And Chyrel Kneeland is on the wood in the center, but it kind of gets deflected because it was a little bit too far out up the hill. She takes 2, leaves 2. Leaves the 5, 6, 10. Kneeland for the 7, 8, 9, or 10 box, and it's going to be an 8. Matt Goodale has totaled 24 in total fill bonus pins, averaging 8 per mark so far today, to finish that thought from early. Chyrel Kneeland has the number 8th Class E average of 98.25, and that's an 8 fill for Demetri Dellas. It's a split of the 5-7. Chyrel Kneeland is dropping 6, leaves the 1, 2, 4, 8 on the deck. See if Demetri Dellas can get yet another spare. That wood on the 5. Will it go? Oh, heartbreaker. The streak is broken. I thought that piece of wood was going to sweep over to the 7, but it doesn't quite go. Chyrel Kneeland on the 1, 2, 4, 8. And she's just a little bit off target. Leaves the 1 and the 2. Demetri Dellas shooting for the 10. He'll clean up for the 10. Still perfect. 65 after 4 for Demetri Dellas. Chyrel Kneeland on the 1, 2. And she'll clean up for a 10 of her own as well. Both blowers with 10s. 35 after 4 for Chyrel Kneeland, and 65 after 4 for Demetri Dellas. With 1 to go before these bowlers sit. Demetri Dellas on fire right now. Dellas to the left of the head pin. Pin still mixing. 8 drop, maybe a 9 drop. Wood is still moving. That pin was not the pin I thought was going to fall. The 9 fell, not the 8, and the 8 was wiggling. Chyrel Kneeland on the head pin. Good mix, still mixing, and it's going to be an 8 drop and a split of the 3-10. Will Dellas get another mark? Yes, he sure will. 4 for 5 and a perfect 75 half. He didn't miss a pin. He left no pin behind. 75 and a bonus for Demetri Dellas. 6-10 spare conversion for Chyrel Kneeland, and she's just a little bit off. But she could still get the 10 box to get to 45 after 5. And she'll be on the object pin, but just missed the 10 for 5. For a 9 box, 44 after 5 for Chyrel Kneeland. Compare that to Kristen Poirier's 51 after 5. Matt Goodale is at 49 after 5. Compare that to Demetri Dellas' 75 and a bonus after 5. That is the story of the top of the second at the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. Kristen Poirier is up in the total and the game by 7 as of right now. And Demetri Dellas is up in the total by 66 and up in the game by 26 as of right now. Matt Goodale on your left, Kristen Poirier on your right, and Kristen Poirier with an opening strike. Matt Goodale almost matches.
Nice ball, Kristen.
Matt Goodale is on the 4-pin single pin spare. Opportunity. There's a lot of wood around it. I am a little worried about that horizontal wood that's a little bit up the hill. Let's see what happens. But it starts with hitting it. Unfortunately, Matt Goodale tailed off to the left. Matt Goodale has a season average of 106.85, a home average of 112.2, and an away average of 101.5. That's a 9 box for Matt Goodale. A heartbreaker there. Kristen Poirier is on a strike. Kristen Poirier has the 19th high class average in Class E North at 92.45. The number 10th class high single at 123. Kristen Poirier is working on a strike, and it's on the... She's on the head pin. The ball's on the head pin. 1, 2 pocket, 7 drop so far for Kristen Poirier. Matt Goodale, though, not to be outdone. He finally gets a strike after missing it in the previous box with that 9 drop. Kristen Poirier on the spare attempt, but it's still going to be a great 19 box, 9 fill, 70 after 6 for Kristen Poirier, leaving the 3 on the deck. Poirier for the 10. And it will be a 9. 79 after 7 for Kristen Poirier. That is confirmed. And 68 in a bonus for Matt Goodale in the 7th box. Kristen Poirier in her past 5 matches, she's taken 22 points, averaging 4.4 per match. And Kristen Poirier is to the left of the head pin, dropping 7, dropping 8. Another fantastic mix by Kristen Poirier. Matt Goodale working on a strike. He's not on the head pin, but he mixed down 8, leaving the 1 and the 2 on the deck. Kristen Poirier's got the 1 and the 8 on the deck. Matt Goodale's got the 1, 3. And Kristen Poirier's just a little bit off to the right. Matt Goodale is shooting at the 1 and the 3 on the deck. And that'll be a 9 fill for Matt Goodale. Kristen Poirier shooting at the 1 and the 8 for a 10 box. And it will be an 8 box for Kristen Poirier. Matt Goodale will take a 10. 87 and 87 for Poirier and Goodale, respectively, in the 8th.
We go all 21?
Okay, we'll have to check that. I had 90.
So young.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Can I just get a picture of that? I'll check that out. Thanks. Do you have a score correction after the first 2 announced? It might be not a tie for Kristen Poirier and Chyrel Kneeland. So again, we'll just investigate that real quick. So neither bowler is on the head pin here. And Kristen Poirier leaves 1 for a 9, no spare. And Goodale, similar thing, no luck for either bowler, as the spectators behind me say. Kristen Poirier in her past 5 matches has had 3 strikes, 30 spares, and 43 tens. That's a 9 box for Kristen Poirier. And that's an 8 box for Matt Goodale. All the while, I'm going to pause for one brief moment just to investigate a score correction. It's a difference of 1 at the end by my unofficial counts. And it was 94 for Kristen Poirier in the first. So I'm going to just double check real quick where that fell down. So the scoreboard will just disappear for just a brief moment here while I just figure that out. That's a split for both of our bowlers, meanwhile. Okay, it was a spare 7, not a spare 6 for Kristen Poirier. Now the totals should be reflected. Matt Goodale, though, with a spare meanwhile. And that should be a 6 box for Kristen Poirier for 102. And I will hold on the official entry for that, just to make sure. And Matt Goodale still has a spare to take anyway. So, as a correction, Kristen Poirier had 94, taking the first game over Chyrel Kneeland's 93. There was a paper copy score correction that did not go on the electronic scoreboard. 112 to 102 is the confirmed score, though, meanwhile, for Kristen Poirier and Matt Goodale. Matt Goodale with a 112, a 3-mark 112. Kristen Poirier with a 2-mark 102 for a 2-game total of 196. That is confirmed. 94 was her first game, not 93. Back to the action here on the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. Our opposite bowlers in our doubleheader today. Chyrel Kneeland on the right. And Demetri Dellas on your left. Chyrel Kneeland. Look at that pocket shot and a strike for Chyrel Kneeland. And Demetri Dellas, though, with a 9 fill. Wasn't on the head pin, but mixed down 9. Let's see what Demetri Dellas can do here. Oh, and he's just off the single. Just a little bit off the head pin, single pin spare. Call that the spare yips. I've been there a lot of times. And that is a 10 box for Demetri Dellas. Still perfect. 94 after 6. It's on fire. Chyrel Kneeland, 54 and a bonus after 6, all the while. Chyrel Kneeland has the number 5th class average strike fill of 8.44. She has the 5th class E-North total spares at 78. 9th Class E North perfect box percentage of 37, and Chyrel Kneeland drops 8 so far. And, oh my goodness, a quarter Worcester for Demetri Dellas. He's driven about 20 minutes down to Worcester, and then the car broke down. Chyrel Kneeland with a spare on strike, keeping the train rolling. And Demetri Dellas, he almost got it. He took everything but the 4. Pocket shot on the quarter Worcester, second ball. No spare, but it, by all rights, really should have been based on the effort given. But it's a 9 box, 103 and 7 for Demetri Dellas. His lowest box of the game so far with that 9. Chyrel Kneeland, though, with a spare on strike, 74 in the 7th, and a fill. That is where Chyrel Kneeland is right now in the positioning. Chyrel Kneeland up in the total by 29, up in the game by 28 so far. Or Kristen Poirier is, excuse me. 4 fill for Chyrel Kneeland.
All right, work it out. Work it out.
And a 6 drop for Demetri Dellas. Chyrel Kneeland versus the spread eagle, the 4-pin academic spread eagle, the 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 10 is what she's shooting at. She fires. Connects with the 3, takes the 6, leaves the 7, 10, 4, 2. Demetri Dellas on the 1, 3, 6, 9. A little bit too full in the 1, 3 pocket. Leaves the 6. No bowler has a mark here. Chyrel Kneeland shooting for a 6-box minimum and a 10-box maximum. 6, 7, 8, 9. And a 10-box for Demetri Dellas. 87 after 8 for Chyrel Kneeland and 113 after 8 for Demetri Dellas. Those scores are confirmed. Love it when that happens. Chyrel Kneeland has the 10th Class E North total 10 boxes at 78. She has the 9th Class E North fewest average pins left at 63.11, and that's a split for Chyrel Kneeland, a banana split. 6 drop, and Dellas with a split of his own, but it's an 8 drop. So a banana split has the 4, 7, 6, 10 leave, spread, or the spread eagle minus the 2 and the 3. Popularized by Paul Grant and Casey McCool. That's a picture of Casey McCool there. And Chyrel Kneeland on the banana split. Will the banana split go? Just left a little bit of ice cream on the deck. And Demetri Dellas also misses his mark. Both bowlers missing the mark there, leaving 1 on the deck for 10-box opportunities. Chyrel Kneeland will fire first. And that's a 10 for Chyrel Kneeland with the assisted wood. Demetri Dellas with a wood nearby the 2, and he'll just nudge the 2 down for a 10. 123 and 9 for Demetri Dellas, and 97 in 9 for Chyrel Kneeland. Chyrel Kneeland, in her past 5 matches, she's taken 47 points with 3 strikes, 46 spares, and 40 tens. 24-51 total pins in the past 5 matches for Chyrel Kneeland. And that's Chyrel Kneeland once again on the head pin and another spread eagle, another 4-drop spread eagle. Demetri Dellas, a 3-pin spread eagle with a talon in the back. That's the 8-pin. Dueling Eagles. The American Eagle. The official bird of the United States. Chyrel Kneeland takes 3 and leaves 2. Leaves a wing. And so does Demetri Dellas. Both do the same thing, but Demetri Dellas has a sleeper pin in the back, the 8-pin. My apologies for the bouncing zoom cam. It's on a surface where there's actually a bunch of people around me right now. And that's a 9-box for Chyrel Kneeland. And that's an 8-box for Demetri Dellas. And that sums up the second game here. Time to assess the totals and figure out where everything is. Chyrel Kneeland finishes with a 106 in the second game for a 2-game total of 199. Up by 3 over Kristen Poirier's 2-game total of 196. Both bowlers in this E-North matchup have 2 points apiece. After checking the score correction and verifying, thank you for your patience on that. Matt Goodale has a 112 in the second and a 2-game total of 219. Demetri Dellas with a 131 second game and a 2-game total of 278. Demetri Dellas on the driver's seat with 4 points. Wins the second game by 19 and has the total by 59 as of right now. But that's the story of the second game. And we are heading off to the top of the third. Matt Goodale on the right and Kristen Poirier on the left. Kristen Poirier in the purple shirt on the left on lane 5 at Boutwells Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire. And Matt Goodale on the right, opening up on the 9-drop. So Kristen Poirier opens up with a split and a 7-drop. Matt Goodale with a 9-drop on the 6. Zoom in on that. Goodale on the 6. He'll take it. That's a spare for Matt Goodale to open up the third game. Kristen Poirier in the 7-10-4. She'll leave the 10 and take the 4 and the 7. Poirier for the 10 box, and she'll get it. She's right on it. 10 box for Poirier and a spare for Matt Goodale. Again, this match is not head-to-head. The bowlers elected to bowl opposite of one another. So Kristen Poirier represents Class C North against Chyrel Kneeland, who is sitting down keeping score for her. Matt Goodale represents Class C North, and that's a strike on spare for Matt Goodale. Kristen Poirier is off to the left, takes 2, takes the 4 and the 7. Matt Goodale 30 and a bonus after 2. And Poirier on the pocket, almost a little bit too full, but the light hit almost compensated for it. Will the 2-pin go? The 2-pin almost thought about it. Almost ended up being a spare to a very pleasant surprise. Sometimes they go, especially at Boutwells. The kind of mixing action at Boutwells is really unlike a lot of other houses. That's a 9 box for Kristen Poirier, 19 after 2, 30 and a bonus for Matt Goodale with that strike on spare. Matt Goodale has totaled 50 in total fills, averaging 7.1 per mark. Compare that to Demetri Dellas' 86 for 8.6. And Matt Goodale almost on the double strike. He drops everything but the 5. Kristen Poirier to the right of the head pin on the 3, drops 5. That's the 4 horseman left side and the 9. Matt Goodale on the single pin, 5-pin spare. Goodale fires. He takes it. Spare on strike on spare for Matt Goodale. For 50 and a bonus after 5. Kristen Poirier almost getting a spare of her own. Leaves the 9 on the deck. Kristen Poirier, in her past 5 matches, she totaled 23 pins in total pinfall. That's a 9 box for Kristen Poirier, putting her at 28 after 3. Kristen Poirier's longest streak of strings at or over 100 has been 3 this season. Her longest streak of matches at or over 430 has been 4. She's on average 18.7 for 50 on the head pin and averaging 13 splits per match. And that's Matt Goodale on the spare fill, and that's going to be a 6, not on the head pin. Kristen Poirier's on the head pin. Pins are still mixing. It's going to be a split of some kind, 7, 9, 10, 5, 3. 1, 3, 9, 10 for Matt Goodale. He's going to fire first. Could be another spare opportunity. Oh, and he's just a little bit off. He just leaves the 1 pin on the deck. That breaks the streak of marks for Matt Goodale. Kristen Poirier on the spare attempt, and the sleeper is the only one that doesn't fall. Pesky sleeper pins. I've seen a bunch of those shots today where those thwarted spare attempts. Matt Goodale takes a 9. That's his first non-mark of the game for 65 after 4. Kristen Poirier just a little bit off for a 9 for 37 after 4. Talking about Matt Goodale, his high single is 138 for the season, high series 607 with 15 strikes, 96 spares, and 71 tens, and a perfect box percentage of 45%. 43-27 seasonal total pins. He's currently first place in C North Division 4 and is overall 4th in the wild card of the overall standings. That's an 8 drop for Matt Goodale, leaving the 4 and the 10. Kristen Poirier is just off to the left of the head pin. Matt Goodale is the number 9 high Class C North average at 106.85. The 10th highest class average strike fill at 8.67, as we've seen today. And the number 6 Class C North total spares at 96. That's a superlative story for Matt Goodale. No mark for either bowler here in the second ball rotation. Matt Goodale will take a 10 box, though, for 75 after 5. Matt Goodale wants a piece of what Demetri Dellas is cooking up. But Kristen Poirier will take a really nice, pretty 10 box, and that's 47 after 5 for Kristen Poirier and 75 after 5 for Matt Goodale. 2.5 game total at 243 for Kristen Poirier. At 47 is confirmed, and the 75 for Matt Goodale is confirmed. Matt Goodale has a 2.5 game total at 294. And that is the top of the third game for Poirier and Goodale. We're now going to switch back to Demetri Dellas on your right, who fires first with an 8 drop on the 4-7. Or leaves the 4-7, that is. Demetri Dellas. And Chyrel Kneeland. She's not in the head pin, drops 7. Dellas on the 4-7. Oh, just fires a little bit, and based on the body language, I could easily tell that was not quite the ball he wanted to throw. Chyrel Kneeland, though, on the spare. On the 1, the 10 goes, takes the 8. Oh, give me a break. You got to be kidding me. How did that not go? It had the momentum, just didn't go. That's a 9 box for Demetri Dellas. Left a spare on the table. Chyrel Kneeland firing for a 10 box on what really should have been a spare. She has 10 after 1. Demetri Dellas has a pile of superlatives, like really, really long list I have written down here. Let's start with his high single. He's number 5th in the entire ACST with 159. He's 9th in the perfect box percentage department at 58% in all of the ACST. He drops 6, leaving the left side diamond. Chyrel Kneeland takes a bunch, leaves a bunch, drops 4, leaves 6. Demetri Dellas on the diamond, 2, 4, 5, 8. And he's just a little bit off to the right. The diamond wins again. He takes 50% of the diamond. Half off. A bargain. Post-holidays. And Chyrel Kneeland will sail through the void, and the void stares back. Demetri Dellas has the number 2 ACST North High single, again at 159, and the 4th highest ACST North High series at 630. That's a 10 box for Demetri Dellas to complete the diamond. Demetri Dellas has the number 2 ACST North perfect box percentage at 58, and that's going to be a frustrating 5 box that Chyrel Kneeland went to war for, 15 after 2, and Demetri Dellas has 19 after 2. Demetri Dellas is the number 2. Oh, I already said that one. Has the number 1 high class average in Class C North at 114.35. That's a 7 drop for Demetri Dellas. He's not in the head pin. Chyrel Kneeland looks to respond. Dellas has the number 1 Class C North high single, again at 159. 3rd highest total strikes in the class at 25. Number 1 Class high series at 630. Chyrel Kneeland drops 6. Leaving the 1, 3, 9, 10, and Dellas with a nice easy does it spare. Dominoing the pins down. And Chyrel Kneeland is just off the left, leaves the 1, 3, 9, 10 once again. And to complete the thought about Demetri Dellas' superlatives, he has the number 3 class average spare fill at 6.47, the number 1 class perfect box percentage at 56%, and the number 1 class fewest average pins left at 38.14. Chyrel Kneeland takes a 6 box. Wow. Yeah, a lot of superlatives to chew through for Demetri Dellas. This is his first ACST season as far as I understand. He was placed in Class C. Definitely going to go up a class or 2 in the next season after everything gets figured out there. That's a 7 fill for Demetri Dellas and a split. The 3, 6, 7, and Chyrel Kneeland drops 7, leaving the 1, 2, and 4 not on the head pin. Dellas, 3, 6, 7 split, connects with the 3, takes nothing else. Chyrel Kneeland on the 1, 2, 4. Kneeland will take the spare. Runs them down. And Dellas will take a stick for a 9. And that is 31 and a bonus for Chyrel Kneeland in the 4th, and 45 after 4 for Demetri Dellas. Scores are all confirmed all the way around. Recently, Chyrel Kneeland faced Paul Kravitz in round 9 at Leda Lanes, taking 12 points with a 491 series, a 96, 94, 103, 198 with 0 strikes, 13 spares, and 7 tens. Chyrel Kneeland on her spare, and she'll take 7. Again, not on the head pin. It's like almost the same shot. Demetri Dellas drops 8. Leaves the 2, the 4, and the 8. Connects with the 8, leaves the 4, no mark. Chyrel Kneeland on the 1, 2, 4. We've seen this before. Let's see if Chyrel Kneeland can do it all over again for the second spare in a row. 7 drop. Ball is... Oh, she gets the kick on the wood for the spare. 2 ways to get the same leave in a row for Chyrel Kneeland, but she got it. That's a 9 box for Demetri Dellas all the while. Chyrel Kneeland, awesome way to finish the top of the 3rd game. For 48 in a bonus after 5. Demetri Dellas at 54 after 5. Uncharacteristically low for Demetri Dellas so far this match. Matt Goodale at 75 after 5, and Kristen Poirier at 47 after 5. Chyrel Kneeland is up in the total by 4 and up in the game by 1. Demetri Dellas is up in the total by 38, but Goodale has the game by 21 so far. Anyways, that's going to be Kristen Poirier. She was on the headpin. I thought she was going to get a little bit better of a mix than that, but 6 drop for Poirier. Matt Goodale was not on the headpin, but dropped 6. Poirier on the 3, 6, 7, 10. She's on the 6, leaves the 3, 7, 10. Goodale on the 1, 2, 7, 8. He's a little bit full on the headpin, but also got deflected on the wood uphill from the headpin. Ends up leaving the 2 on the deck. Kristen Poirier's on the 3, the 10, and the 7 for a 10 box. Really pretty 10 box for Kristen Poirier. Matt Goodale will take the single for a 10 as well. Kristen Poirier recently faced Greg Sawyer in round 9. It was a home game here at Boutwells Bowling Center. With a 494 series, Kristen Poirier took 10 points with a 103, 101, 104, 98, and 88 with 1 strike, 9 spares, and 9 tens. This is Kristen Poirier's first season in the ACST. That's a 3 drop for Kristen Poirier so far. Matt Goodale was on the headpin and leaves the back right side accordion of the 5, 6, 9, 10. And Kristen Poirier takes a few more out. No mark. Goodale on the accordion. And he will leave the 6 and the 10, take half of it. Poirier shooting for a 10 box with a 5 box minimum, I believe. She'll take 2 and leave 3 for a 7. Matt Goodale for the 8, 9, or 10 box. He'll take a 9 for 94 in 7. Matt Goodale in his past 5 matches has taken 42 points. He's had 10 strikes, 56 spares, and 48 tens in those past 5 matches. He has 26.99 total pinfall in the past 5 matches. He has 1 match at or over 600 out of 8 this season. 3 matches out of 8 at or over 550. Kristen Poirier is just off the left of the headpin on the left side Candlepin corner. Matt Goodale is on the headpin with a split 8 drop, 5, 10. Kristen Poirier with a pile of pins to work with. Second ball, spare attempt. She's on the headpin and leaves the 5 and the 9. It was a great spare bid ball, though. Wouldn't have changed anything. Matt Goodale has 4 out of 8 matches with double-digit wins this season. 2 out of 8 matches with shutout wins. That means 14-point victories are... You know what that means. No mark for either bowler here. Matt Goodale has 4 out of 8 matches without double-digit wins. His longest streak of strings at or over 100 is 10. That's a crazy stat. That's a really... it's more difficult than it seems to maintain that kind of a stat. Just keeping your general game total over 100 for games on end. And Matt Goodale has done it for 10 in a row with his longest streak. Matt Goodale has 2 matches with a streak of 530 or higher in the terms of the total. That's Kristen Poirier with a 6 drop and a split on the headpin. Kristen Poirier is 11 for 29 in the headpin today, totaling 23 infills, averaging 5.8 per mark. Matt Goodale drops 7 on the headpin, 139. Matt Goodale has a headpin average per match of 27.5 per 50 and 12.5 split average per match. And Kristen Poirier is just a little bit off. Goodale fires on the 139 and he takes the 3, leaves the 1 and the 9 on the deck. Kristen Poirier looks to clean up and she'll put a great effort into it for 9 box, and Matt Goodale, same thing. Matt Goodale recently faced Andy Klempa in round 9. It was a home game for Matt Goodale at Academy Lanes with a 584 series. He took 8 points out of 14. 101, 100, 127, 129, 127 was his series. 34 head pins and 16 splits with 2 strikes, 14 spares, and 11 tens. That's the 5-7-10 for Kristen Poirier, the Matt Susi special, as some like to call it. It's just the 5-7-10 split. Very difficult without wood. Apparently Matt Susi was at one point, maybe still is, good at getting them. Poirier on the Matt Susi special. 5-7-10. No wood. And she'll kick the 5, and it'll almost take the 10. See, though, you can be on the object pin and still barely get anything for it. But anyways, that's a spare for Matt Goodale. He needed that one. He's at 122 in a bonus in the 10th. Kristen Poirier is looking at an 8, 9, or 10 box for a potential 93 game. It'll be an 8 box, so it'll be a 91. And Matt Goodale still has one more ball, so enjoy the dancing Mark Ritchie's for just a moment. We'll take a look at the scoreboard in just a second. And as Matt Goodale, will he get another strike fill? Not so much as lucky. That's a 6 fill for 128. All right, so let's take a look at where we're at now officially. 91 after 10 for Kristen Poirier and 128. Game 3 for Matt Goodale. 3-game total of 347 for Matt Goodale. Kristen Poirier has a 3-game total of 287. So that is the story of the 3rd game and 3-game totals for Kristen Poirier and Matt Goodale. Now we'll see what Chyrel Kneeland and Demetri Dellas have to say about that. Chyrel Kneeland on your right in the black shirt. Lane 6 at Boutwells Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire. Demetri Dellas in the black shirt on lane 5 on the left. Chyrel Kneeland is on a spare, and it looks like it's going to be, I think it's going to be a 2-fill. And, my goodness, Demetri Dellas, similar story. Both bowlers just not on their targets. So that's 50 after 5 for Chyrel Kneeland, and she almost converts the spare, leaving the 4 and the 7 on the deck. Demetri Dellas on the wilds, a little bit full on the head pin. 7-10, 4-6. No mark for either bowler. They're shooting for 10 boxes. Chyrel Kneeland, 8, 9, or 10 box. She'll fire first with wood on the 4-7, but she'll connect with wood that isn't really touching anything else for an 8 box. 8 boxes for both our bowlers, actually. 62 after 6 for Demetri Dellas, and Chyrel Kneeland is at 58 after 6. Chyrel Kneeland up by 1 at this point in the game against Kristen Poirier in the 6th, 58 to 57. Demetri Dellas trailing Matt Goodale 62 to 85 in the 6th. Kneeland fires first. On the 1-2 pocket, drops 7 with a split. And Demetri Dellas on the headpin drops 8, leaving the 4 and the 7 on the deck. Chyrel Kneeland has a piece of wood slightly diagonal to the 5-pin. It can sweep over to take the 6 and the 10 if she just hits it right, just like that. I love it when I talk about something and then it happens. That's a spare for Chyrel Kneeland. She's at 68 in a bonus after 7, and Demetri Dellas, I believe that's a spare. Just want to make sure it wasn't a foul or anything, just because I looked away for literally a millisecond. Nope, it's a spare. 68 in a bonus after 7 for Chyrel Kneeland, and 72 in a bonus after 7 for Demetri Dellas. 3 marks for Chyrel Kneeland so far this game. Demetri Dellas has 2. Demetri Dellas, 18 for 27 on the head pin today with 7 splits, 93 in bonus total pins. Chyrel Kneeland, not on the head pin, but she drops 8. Leaves the head pin and the 4-pin, and that's a 7 fill for Demetri Dellas. Neither bowler on the head pin. Let's see where this takes us. Kneeland will fire first, and she's just a little bit off the right of the object pin. Demetri Dellas, nice shot, drills it, punches it right in the face. Not too full, but not too light for 89 and a bonus after 8. Chyrel Kneeland, oh, she'll miss the 2nd, and she'll get the 3rd. I heard someone say Paul Grant down there, and I'm here to oblige. The Paul Grant special. Miss the 2nd, get the 3rd. That's a $1 donation to Candlepin for Cancer per occurrence. Paul Grant is always watching. He's like Santa Claus. Santa Claus in the off-season. Chyrel Kneeland. Lane 6. Boutwells Bowling Center. To the right of the head pin, drops a few. Drops 4, leaves 6. 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Demetri Dellas on the bonus. It's an 8 fill on the head pin. Threw it a little hard. Don't think it was a bad thing, but, you know, leaves the 5 and the 8. Chyrel Kneeland sails through the void. No mark. Dellas on the 5-8. He'll take the 8 and leave the 5, and wow, that pin actually almost came back to the deck. Must have caught something on the turntable in the back behind the pin setter or something. It was Chyrel Kneeland with a awesome recovery there. It was almost another miss the second, get the third situation, but that's a 9 for Kneeland and a 10 for Dellas. 107 and 9 for Demetri Dellas and 95 and 9 for Chyrel Kneeland. It's the story of the 9th. The end of the 3rd here, bottom of the 3rd. Every bowler has a strike. Some bowlers have more than one strike. Matt Goodale and Demetri Dellas specifically have 2. And that's Chyrel Kneeland dropping 5. 1, 2, 4, 7, 10, and Demetri Dellas dropping 8, leaving the 4 and the 10 on the deck. Strong hit, but not much to show for it. This is the 4 horseman left side and the 10 for Chyrel Kneeland. 1, 2, 4, 7, 10. She fires. 1, 2 pocket will take it out. Yeah, she's a little bit off the 1, 2 pocket. Hits the 2, 4, 7. Demetri Dellas tries to get the kick. Leaves the 4 on the deck. Hard shot. Not really. One of those shots where I wouldn't be too heartbroken if I didn't get it. Just would have put my best effort forward. 9 box for Kneeland and a 10 box for Dellas. 117 game 3 for Demetri Dellas. And a 3 game total of 395 for Demetri Dellas. Just 5 off of 400. But Matt Goodale will take the 3rd game, 128 to 117. Matt Goodale took the 3rd game by 11. Dellas still has the total by 48. 395 to Matt Goodale's 347. In Kristen Poirier versus Chyrel Kneeland, things are also relatively even. Kristen Poirier has 2 points. Chyrel Kneeland has 4. Chyrel Kneeland is up in the total by 16 with a 3-game total of 303. Kristen Poirier has a 3-game total of 287. Chyrel Kneeland took the 3rd game with a 104. Kristen Poirier had the 3rd game as 91. So that is the story of the 3rd game. I'm going to take a walk down to the 4th game as our bowlers get ready to roll here. Some reconfiguration going on down there, as well as back here. So long as we get all the scoreboards here and everything all set. So we'll start off with Matt Goodale on the right lane, in the black shirt on lane 6. He drops 7. He drops 8. 1 and 3. And Kristen Poirier will foul that off and will reset. When you foul off in the first ball, you can reset. That's not a penalty or anything. It just guarantees that your second ball, if you take everything out, it will be a spare. So Kristen Poirier, it'll be your second ball despite the reset. And Matt Goodale will open up with a spare. 10 and a bonus after 1. Kristen Poirier, second ball, recovery. She'll take a few out, leaving the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7 on the deck. She's shooting for a 10 box. Matt Goodale has a spare. Poirier, right on the nose. Nice recovery for an 8 box, 8 after 1. So I'll show you some slides here. So this is Matt Goodale. So again, he has a really great season of 71 and 41, currently 4th overall in C North. He's in C North Division 4. He has a 600 on the books, seasonal high 5, a 607 specifically. He's bowled 8 matches so far. We'll talk about Kristen Poirier in just a little bit here. There's a 6 drop for Matt Goodale and a 6 fill on the spare, not on the head pin. Kristen Poirier is off to the right of the head pin. Drops 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 for Kristen Poirier. 1, 3, 9, 10 for Matt Goodale. Goodale will fire first, and he's, strong pitch, but off to the left of the head pin and hits nothing. Kristen Poirier on the nose, on the pocket, takes everything with a 5. That was a great shot. Wouldn't have changed a thing if it were me. Would have thrown it exactly the same way. Matt Goodale will take it out for a 10 box, and that is another Paul Grant situation. Paul Grant special. 26 after 2 for Goodale, and with that 9 box for Poirier, that is 17 after 2. So Kristen Poirier, she's currently 8th in E North. Season record of 38 and 74. She has a 511 seasonal high 5, a seasonal high 1 of 123. This is her first season. She's bowled 8 matches so far this season. Not counting this one. Matt Goodale drops 6. 1, 2, 4, 7. Kristen Poirier almost takes a strike. Every bowler is a strike today, so no bowler goes home with that one. Matt Goodale on the 4 horseman left side. He punches the 2 and leaves the 1, 4, and the 7. Kristen Poirier on the 5 pin with wood. And I think it's going to... Oh, my goodness. Shouldn't have said that. Well, it doesn't end up going. The wood deflects everything. It was right on target. It's just the dead wood in Candlepin bowling. That's sometimes what can happen. Candlepin bowling is just a bit of entropy in how the ball can hit the wood and stuff. And fortunately, that's going to end up being a 9-box for Kristen Poirier and a 9-box for Matt Goodale as well. 35 after 3 for Matt Goodale and 26 after 3 for Kristen Poirier. And that's Matt Goodale just punching hard on the right side half Worcester. And Kristen Poirier's off to the right, but she's getting a nice mix of 6. The half Worcester is when you punch the 2 and the 8 or the 3 and the 9, and a quarter Worcester is if you just take the 2 or the 3. Fun facts here on the ACST, on ACSTV. That's a couple more down for Goodale. No mark, leaves the 5, 6, 10, and Kristen Poirier, look at that spare. Bit of a revenge spare after that previous one didn't go in the previous box. And that's a 9-box for Matt Goodale. Hard fought one. 44 after 4 for Matt Goodale and 36 and a bonus after 4 for Kristen Poirier. Kristen Poirier has 1 strike and 4 spares. Matt Goodale has 2 strikes and 8 spares. Kristen Poirier with 13 headpin shots today. Matt Goodale with 18. 9 splits for Poirier. She's been the least lucky in terms of everyone. 5 splits for Goodale. Goodale drops 9 on the headpin. That's a 4 fill for Kristen Poirier. Goodale on the single pin spare. I think it's good. I'll hold for the call. I'll potentially mark that in as a spare. Well, it's always the bowler's call. And yes, it is a spare. Thank you, John Alosa, for settling the debate. Kristen Poirier will take an 8-box. Although I think there may be a score correction. Yeah, she had a 4 fill. There we go. It has been fixed. Chyrel Kneeland put it in as a 7 fill. Let's just make it sure. 40 after 4. No, I'm sorry. We're at the end of the 5th. That is 48 after 5 for Kristen Poirier and 54 in a bonus after 5 for Matt Goodale. That's a 3.5 game total of 335 for Kristen Poirier and a 3.5 game total of 401 for Matt Goodale. So we're going to be switching over now to Chyrel Kneeland and Demetri Dellas. I don't know where Demetri Dellas is. Well, oh, sure, no problem. Yeah. All right, so apparently Demetri Dellas is working while bowling, so he's actually over fixing a lane right now. Oh, and there he is. Actually, he just appeared out of nowhere. Talk about Demetri Dellas again. He is first place in C North. He is cleaning up. This is his first season. He averages 114.35. He has a 600 on the books, a 630 high series, high 1 of 159. He's bowled 7 matches so far. He has 25 strikes, 90 spares, and 91 tens. But yeah, he's got a 600 on the books. He's definitely going to be going up a class or 2. And speaking of that, heartbreaker there. He moves the 4 pin, drops 9, but doesn't get the strike. Chyrel Kneeland is on the head pin. 9 drop as well on the 5, but the 5 stands tall. Dellas is shooting for a spare now on the 4 pin. The 4 pin that slid, for that matter. And I think because that 4 pin slid a little bit, I don't know if the ball was off that much, but I think they could have not gone because of that. He misses the spare. Misses the single. Rushed it a little bit. Chyrel Kneeland on the 5, and that's a spare for Chyrel Kneeland, showing Demetri Dellas how it's done. Demetri Dellas misses again for a 9-box. Left a mark on the table. Chyrel Kneeland works for Bright Clean Windows. Go to brightcleanwindows.com, by the way. She's been there since 2018. And so Demetri Dellas was off, not on the head pin, and left some on the deck. It's a 4 fill for Chyrel Kneeland, not on the head pin either. Demetri Dellas wild pitch to the left that time. No mark. 1, 3, 6, 4, 7, 9 for Chyrel Kneeland, and she's right on the nose, but leaves the 7. No mark. It was a good bid. Demetri Dellas will take 3, leave 1 for a 9 box. A second 9 box in a row. 18 after 2 for Demetri Dellas. Chyrel Kneeland on the 7 pin for a 10 box that she's shooting for now. That'll be a 9. 23 after 2 for Chyrel Kneeland. And again, talking about Chyrel Kneeland, so she's currently 5th in the overall placements as of right now. It's always fluid, but at the moment, that was last I checked. Class C North Division 2 for Chyrel Kneeland. 118, high 1, high 5, a 527. That's Demetri Dellas. He wasn't on the head pin, but he dropped 9. He left only the head pin. Chyrel Kneeland on the head pin, 1-2 pocket. It's a split 7 drop, 7-10-6. Dellas will fire first on the single pin spare, see if he can reach that, and he will this time. He didn't want to miss a single pin again this game. That's a spare for Demetri Dellas, 28 and a bonus after 3. And Chyrel Kneeland fires on the 6-7-10. She'll take 2, leave 1. And Chyrel will finish with a 9. 32 after 3 for Chyrel Kneeland. 28 and a bonus after 3 for Demetri Dellas. Demetri Dellas is 21 for 33 on the head pin today with 8 splits. Chyrel Kneeland with 13 for 33 on the head pin with 8 splits. Demetri Dellas has crossed 100 in terms of bonus fill totals, so at 108, averaging 7.7 per mark. That's a 5 fill for Demetri Dellas, so it's a spread eagle minus the 7. And Chyrel Kneeland is on the right side, taking a few more. And Demetri Dellas takes the right side of the remainder of the bird, leaving 3 pins on the deck. Chyrel Kneeland punches a little bit hard through the nose, 2, 3, 4, 7. No mark for either bowler. Dellas for the 10 box. Ooh, he almost gets the sweep, but he takes a 9. 42 after 4 for Demetri Dellas. Chyrel Kneeland's 2, 3, 4, 7. No wood to help her. She'll take 2, leave 2 for an 8 box. That's 40 after 4 for Chyrel Kneeland. Chyrel Kneeland has totaled 38 in bonus mark fills, averaging 5.4 per mark. She's 13 for 34 in the head pin with 8 splits. Demetri Dellas throwing a little bit harder now and getting a few more splits out of it. That's his 10th split and his 23rd head pin shot. That's 4, 6, 3, 7 for Demetri Dellas, and Kneeland will lemon drop it. Lemon drop is when you punch out the 4 or the 6 pin on the first ball. It's a $1 donation to Candlepins per cancer per occurrence. That's another Paul Grant, as always, watching situation. Dellas will leave the 3 and the 7 and miss the mark. Chyrel Kneeland is off the head pin and takes a few more, leaving the 1, 3, 6, 7, and 9. Dellas has got the 3 and the 7 on the deck. For a 10 box, he'll take the 3 and leave the 7. That's a 9 box and a 51 half for Demetri Dellas to conclude the top of the 4th. Chyrel Kneeland on the 1, 3, 6, 7, 9. For the 10 box, and everything almost goes, but she has 49 after 5. That's where we currently stand. 49 after 5 for Chyrel Kneeland, and 51 after 5 for Demetri Dellas. 54 in a bonus after 5 for Goodale, and 48 after 5 for Kristen Poirier at the top of the 4th. 335 for Poirier, 352 for Kneeland. Kneeland is up by 17 in the total and up in the game by 1. And then Demetri Dellas holds on to the total by 45, but Goodale has the game by 3 as of right now. And Kristen Poirier will lead off first. A light hit on the head pin, but pins mixed down, and it ends up being a 6 drop. 2, 4, 7, 9. Goodale right on the head pin, fills a spare with 7. And that puts Matt Goodale at 61 after 5. And Poirier will take 2, leave 2. And Matt Goodale will he'll take a spare. It was a very delayed spare on the triangle, but everything goes. 71 and a bonus after 6 for Matt Goodale. Kristen Poirier shooting for a 10 box on the 7 and the 9 pins. And she'll just miss the 9. She'll take 8. That's 56 after 6 for Kristen Poirier and 71 and a bonus for Matt Goodale. That is confirmed. Kristen Poirier is tied with Demetri Dellas in terms of splits. And, you know, not a whole lot we can say about that other than it's just kind of an unlucky stat. That's another split for Kristen Poirier. She's just really had a hard time with those today. And, ooh, Matt Goodale has the rare situation where he'll take a 6 on a fill, but he didn't connect with a head pin, but he does get a split. So it's the rare situation where it's not a head pin shot, but it is a split. A split is constituted where is defined where the head pin has to be down. It doesn't matter if you hit it or not. The head pin shot is only counted if the ball directly contacts the head pin. Kristen Poirier will leave the 7 pin on the deck. No mark. And Matt Goodale for the 3-peat on the spare, and he will get it. 3 in a row, 87 and a bonus after 7 for Matt Goodale. Matt Goodale now coming alive, mounting a comeback against Demetri Dellas from Demetri Dellas' monster first few games. I'd say the third game could be the pivot point for Matt Goodale because Demetri Dellas threw a 117, Matt Goodale threw a 128. Dellas threw a 147 and a 131 in the first game. Matt Goodale threw a 107 and a 112 in the first game. So that's a competitive match. It's getting close. It's getting shockingly close. And Kristen Poirier's on the head pin, drops 9, leaves the 6. And Matt Goodale is on the head pin with a 7 fill. So that puts him at 94 and 7. Matt Goodale's got the 3, 6, 10, and Kristen Poirier dropped 9, leaving the 6 on the deck with wood all around it. Just hit anywhere in the vicinity, and that should go, provided you don't cap the wood. And will it go? Ooh, yes, it will go. I was a little scared for that capped wood, but it does go for Kristen Poirier. Matt Goodale, will he get 4 in a row? He won't. He'll veer off a little bit to the right for no mark, so he's shooting for a 10 box and 8 box minimum. And Goodale will take an 8 after all said and done for 102 after 8, 75 and a bonus for Kristen Poirier in the 8th. Poirier leads off, working on a spare. On the head pin, drops 8. Head pin shot in a split, leaving the 5-10. And Matt Goodale, though, he's fired up. He gets a strike of his own, 112 and a bonus after 9. That's his 5th mark of the game. Kristen Poirier trying to kick for the spare, and she almost gets it. She kicks the 5 over to the right direction, but leaves the 10 on the deck. Wasn't for lack of trying. She definitely gave it her best effort. It's a tough shot. Tough shot. 9 box for Kristen Poirier. 92 after 9. Matt Goodale's working on a strike. This is Class C North. I'll come back to the slide in a little bit, but just wanted to show you the division readouts. And Kristen Poirier off to the left of the head pin. Takes a few, leaves a few. Matt Goodale on a strike. It's on a head pin. 7 drops so far. Leaves the 7-8-4. Kristen Poirier's on the 1-5-3-6-8-9. Poirier. Just a little bit off. She could get to a potential 102 if she can get a 10 box here. Matt Goodale for the second ball on the strike fill. Will it be a 10? Will it be a spare? Sure will. That's 132 and a bonus now for Matt Goodale. With that spare on strike, 6 marks this game for Matt Goodale. That's a 7 box for Kristen Poirier. And once again, this has been happening a whole lot. Matt Goodale is throwing a bonus ball in the 10th. Keeps happening. Remarkably consistent to do this in the 10th every single time for Matt Goodale. Matt Goodale is on the head pin. He'll drop 6. That's a 138. A monster game for Matt Goodale. 138 for Matt Goodale and a 4-game total of 485 for Matt Goodale, nearly at 500 after 4. Kristen Poirier, 4-game total of 386 with that 99, and those scores are confirmed. So that is where we are currently at in terms of the differentials. We'll assess the totals and the leads once we get to the end of this 4th game here at the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. We're going to have Chyrel Kneeland on the right in the black shirt. Demetri Dellas on the left, also in the black shirt. Chyrel Kneeland with a wild pitch to the right. Demetri Dellas with another banana split 6-drop. Banana split. It's a 4-7, 6-10 leave. And Chyrel Kneeland on the remedial second ball. She's just a little off. Dellas shooting at the banana split with wood. Plays the right side, leaves the left half. Takes 2, leaves 2. Chyrel Kneeland for a 10 box now. And it'll be 7 for 56 after 6. 8 box for Dellas, 59 after 6. So again, here's Class C North. So there's 4 in each division for Class C North. Class C North is a little bit different. There are only 2 divisions, and there's 6 bowlers in each division. So just to give you an idea, it's just because the number of bowlers is a little bit different when you get down to Class E. So it's just a little bit of a different configuration is all. Chyrel Kneeland is off to the right of the head pin. Demetri Dellas is dropping 8, dropping 9. Will it be 10? The 4-pin wiggles, but doesn't fall. Chyrel Kneeland has the right side half Worcester. And she'll take a few more out on the remedial second ball. Dellas will punch the single for a spare on the wood. 69 after 7 with 2 marks this game. But Matt Goodale is at 94 after 7 at this point in the game. Chyrel Kneeland will take a 7. Chyrel's at 63 after 7, down by 2 to Kristen Poirier, 65 after 7 at the equivalent point in the game. Matt Goodale leads the charge with 3 strikes so far. Demetri Dellas has 2. Kristen Poirier and Chyrel Kneeland both have 1 strike, though. And Chyrel Kneeland is off the right of the head pin, but gets a nice kick of drop of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the deck. And that's a 7 fill for Demetri Dellas, and a split. That's the 4, 6, 7. Chyrel Kneeland will fire first, and she's just off a little bit to the left, leaves the 1 and the 3. Demetri Dellas will play the left, hoping 2 will take 3, or 2 will take 1, but the 6 remains on the deck. Chyrel Kneeland will take a 10, though. That puts her at 73 after 8. Dellas will also take a 10. That puts him at 86 after 8. So where are we today, actually? We're in Concord, New Hampshire at Boutwells Bowling Center. And Boutwells is on 152 North State Street in Concord, New Hampshire. There's 24 lanes, 12 on each side. Boutwells uses manual scoring and manual lane resetting, with CompuScore being the scoring software being used. Boutwells was formerly owned by WNDS Candlepin Stars and Strikes co-host Dan Murphy, who passed away in 2022. Now owned by the Dellas family. Demetri Dellas is part of that family. Another bowler on the head pin here. Chyrel Kneeland dropped 8, and she will spare it up on the 1-2. Demetri Dellas had more pins to contend with and left the 5 on the deck. And for the 10 box, Dellas will take 9 for 95 in 9. 17 head pin shots for Kristen Poirier versus Chyrel Kneeland's 13 head pin shots. Although Kristen Poirier could stand to get to 14. Demetri Dellas at 26 head pin shots. Matt Goodale at 23. And Chyrel Kneeland will fire first, not on the head pin. Takes 2 out on the right side and the rear. And Demetri Dellas will take a right side half Worcester. Half Worcester is when you take out the 2 and the 8 or the 3 and the 9. That's the 3-9 half Worcester. Chyrel Kneeland almost had a lemon drop, but she took an extra pin out in the back row. So it's not really a named shot. Chyrel Kneeland on the remedial second ball, ball tails to the left, no mark. And similar start for Demetri Dellas. Both bowlers just kind of have Standing pins all over the deck for both to work with. Chyrel Kneeland with a 5 box or greater. She'll take one out for a 6. Oops. I'm sorry. I gotta do a bit of housekeeping here. Chyrel Kneeland at a 2 on the fill. I believe Chyrel Kneeland finishes with 91. That is confirmed. Demetri Dellas finishes with a 103, 4th game. So 498, 4 game total for Demetri Dellas. Matt Goodale, though, is mounting a comeback with a 4 game total of 485 and 4 game total of 394 for Chyrel Kneeland with that 91 in the 4th game. Kristen Poirier takes the 4th game with a 99. She has a 4 game total of 386. Chyrel Kneeland and Kristen Poirier are only 8 pins apart in terms of the total. Kristen Poirier took the 4th game by 8 as well. And the total is only within 13 between Matt Goodale and Demetri Dellas. So both bowlers, actually every bowler has 4 points apiece right now. So actually this is a very, very even match across both of our bowlers. You know, it was kind of looking a little lopsided there in the beginning, but honestly, the competition really kind of resolved everything, or at least it kind of balanced out. Because Matt Goodale suddenly got hot, and then Demetri Dellas cooled off, and similar story with Kristen Poirier and Chyrel Kneeland. So, you know, it's never say never when it comes to points on the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. And oh my god, poor Kristen Poirier with a quarter Worcester. Matt Goodale with a split. Kristen Poirier took out only the 3. Goodale punches 1, leaves 2 on the deck. 2, 6. Kristen Poirier takes a few more out, leaves 4 on the deck for a potential 6 box. Matt Goodale opens up with an 8. Kristen Poirier on the 1, 7, 9, 10 for 10 box. Poirier. Little off the object wood, but it's a nice out for a 9. 9 after 1 for Poirier and 8 after 1 for Goodale. Kristen Poirier with 17 headpin shots for 41 so far, with 12 splits. Matt Goodale with 23 for 41 on the headpin and 7 splits, totaling 114 in total mark fills, averaging 7.6 per mark. Compare that to Demetri Dellas' 120 in total fills, averaging 8 per mark. And that's nothing doing on the headpin for Matt Goodale. He drops 5, and similar story for Kristen Poirier, but she drops 6, leaving the right side 4 horsemen. Matt Goodale is on the 1-3 pocket and takes everything but the 10. Kristen Poirier just off to the left. No mark for either bowler. Matt Goodale is working on a 10 box here, and he'll take that 10 for 18 after 2. Kristen Poirier, meanwhile, will take 1 and leave 3 for a 7 box for 16 after 2 for Kristen Poirier and 18 after 2 for Matt Goodale. So, folks, if you like this content and you want to see more, I invite you to check out a bunch of stuff on YouTube, Facebook, maybe a TikTok or 2 on, you know, whatever it is. Particularly Candlepin Bowling Network on YouTube, as well as Instagram and Facebook. There's also at Candlepin Bowling on TikTok. There's at Candlepin Corner on YouTube. There's my channel, 3 Ball Spare on YouTube and Facebook, if you want to check that out. Also on twitch.tv. There's the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour, not only on Facebook, but also on YouTube, as I recently learned, so check that out as well. Neither bowler on the headpin here, and no mark for Goodale. Kristen Poirier will veer off to the right at the last minute, tailing off, taking only the 9. It's going to be a 5 box or greater for both of our bowlers, with the same shot, actually. Goodale will take an 8. Poirier on the 1, 2, 5, 7, 8, just like Goodale. She'll miss it for a 5 for 21 after 5. After 3, excuse me. And 26 after 3 for Matt Goodale. There's also even more Candlepin stuff. There's the Candlepin chat group on Facebook, great for discussion and hearing about events and tournaments and all that. There's Alley Chat on alleychat.net, as well as youtube.com/@alleychat. There's Wolfman12395 for classic Candlepin TV shows. And there's also the Candlepin Bowling channel on YouTube for even more classic Candlepin action. No headpin shot for either bowler here. Once again, Goodale on the 1, 2, 6, 10. And he'll take everything but the 2. Kristen Poirier on the 4 horseman right side and the 7. She's on the 1, 2 pocket. A little bit of a thin hit. Leaves the 7 and the 10 on the deck. Goodale for the 10 box. That's a 10 for 36 after 4. Kristen Poirier on the 7 and the 10 for a 10 box. She plays the wood on the 10. That's the best way I would have done it as well. For a 9 box, that's 30 after 4 for Kristen Poirier. Kristen Poirier, 1 strike, 5 spares. Matt Goodale, 3 strikes, 12 spares. Again, this is not a head-to-head match. The bowlers that are currently bowling are from the opposite pairings. Matt Goodale is off the headpin again. He's only been 1 for 5 on the headpin this game. And Kristen Poirier gets a nice mix of 6, another 4 horsemen right side. Matt Goodale's got the 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10 to contend with. He's on the pocket, but a little bit too full, leaves the 7 and the 10, no mark for Matt Goodale. Kristen Poirier on the 1, 3, 6, 10, and she's right on it. That's an awesome spare for Kristen Poirier to close out the final first half of the match for 40 and a bonus after 5. That's a 9 box for Matt Goodale. And let's see where we are at in terms of the end of the top of the 5th for these two bowlers. So Kristen Poirier with a 4.5 game total of 426. She's at 40 and a bonus after 5 with that 1 mark 40 half. And the spare came in the 5th box. So she'll fill that when she comes back up to the decks for the second half. Matt Goodale having trouble with the head pin. He has no marks. He's at 45 after 5 with a 4.5 game total of 530. If he can get 70 more pins, he'll have a 600. So let's see where we are at now with Demetri Dellas to respond and Chyrel Kneeland. Demetri Dellas on the right in the black. Chyrel Kneeland with an 8 drop on the head pin. Demetri Dellas has a right side half Worcester. Dellas punches out a little bit too full right down the center on the 1-5, leaves the 4-6, 2, 7, 8, 10. Chyrel Kneeland on the 6-10 for a spare on the 6-10, and she touches every pin. She kicks the 6 on the sidewall. It taps the 10, but the 10 doesn't go, and the wood doesn't do much to help either. Really should have been a spare, honestly. Throw the challenge flag on that one. And Demetri Dellas will take a weird 6 box, leaving the 2, the 6, the 8, and the 10. Chyrel Kneeland will take a 10. Dellas, 2 strikes, 13 spares. Needs 1 more strike to catch up with Matt Goodale. And he's off to the right of the head pin, dropping 6 so far. 1, 2 at 9, 10. Chyrel Kneeland will fire next on lane 5, opening pitch. Drops 7, not on the head pin, but leaves the 1, 3, 10. Spare leave. Demetri Dellas has the 1, 2, 9, 10 with no wood. And he's just a little bit off to the right. Suddenly accuracy has become a bit of an issue for Demetri Dellas and Matt Goodale, especially in these latter games, it seems. Although Matt Goodale has been able to convert marks and get decent fills out of them. Chyrel Kneeland connects with the 10, leaves the 1 and the 3. And that's an 8 box for Demetri Dellas. All the while, the 1 and the 10 are left on the deck. And Chyrel Kneeland leaves the 1 and the 3 for an 8 box as well. 18 after 2 for Chyrel Kneeland and 14 after 2 for Demetri Dellas. Those scores are confirmed. And if you want even more Candlepin action, there's also the ripping. Oops. I'll show you that slide in just a moment. Sorry. Sometimes it's hard to get a word in. That's a 5 drop for Demetri Dellas, the 4 horseman right side and the 7. Chyrel Kneeland to the left of the head pin. She drops 7, leaves the 1, the 3, and the 9 on the deck. Demetri Dellas for the remedial second ball, or the spare shot, and he just misses everything. I think he's throwing it a little bit too hard. Might need to take the edge off a little bit. Kneeland on the 1, 3, 9. Heard an audible from Chyrel. She knew what happened on that release. Just off to the left and into nowhere land. And my God, that's a 5 box for Demetri Dellas. Not sure what's going on there, but that's an 8 box for Chyrel Kneeland. 19 after 3 for Demetri Dellas, and 26 after 3 for Chyrel Kneeland. My goodness. Anyways, yes, so there's Tony Levesque on YouTube as well as TikTok. Charlie Collins on TikTok. Check those out. There's the Approach podcast and the Ripping the Rack podcast for Candlepin podcasty like discussions from Tim Matero and the crew. Calvin Locke crossing the borders between U.S. and Canada. It's a 7 drop for Demetri Dellas on the head pin this time on the left side triangle. Will he take that triangle? There we go. Now he's on the train. Now he's on the mark train for 29 and a bonus after 4. Chyrel Kneeland takes a few more out, leaving the 1, the 5, and the 9 on the deck. 1, 5, 9, 7 box, 8 box, 9 box, or 10 box for Chyrel Kneeland. She fires. It's going to be a 7 box. 33 after 4 for Kneeland, and 29 in a bonus after 4 for Demetri Dellas. Currently, Demetri Dellas is the spare leader of all 4 bowlers today with 14 spares, and he's on, not on the head pin, I'm sorry. He drops 6, leaves the 1, 3, 6, 8 on the deck. Chyrel Kneeland direct on the head pin. A little bit too direct with a split. John Alosa remarking, everyone got tired. And I don't know if I disagree on that. Demetri Dellas will leave all but the 8, or take all but the 8. Chyrel Kneeland's got the 4, 6, 3, 7, 10 to contend with. And she'll miss everything, unfortunately. Dellas will take 9. 44 after 5. And that's a 6 box for Chyrel Kneeland. 39 after 5. I'll assess where we're at now. We're at the end. We're at the end of the top of the 5th. 39 after 5 for Chyrel Kneeland, under Kristen Poirier's 40 and a bonus after 5. Matt Goodale is at 45 after 5. Demetri Dellas is at 44 after 5. In terms of the total, Chyrel Kneeland is up by 7 in the total. Kristen Poirier has the game by 1 plus a bonus. Demetri Dellas has a total by 12. Matt Goodale has the game by 1. That's the current story of the end of the first half of the final game. And that's Kristen Poirier on the head pin, dropping 7. And that she leaves the 7, 10, 6.
Concentrate, sir. I got your back.
It's all good. Oh, you got it. Yeah. Don't mind me. Sorry, some off-screen banter. Kristen Poirier was on a head pin shot and a split, leaving the 7 pin on the deck. Matt Goodale was on the head pin, dropping 8, but it'll take the spare, though. 55 and a bonus after 6 for Matt Goodale with that spare. Chyrel Kneeland. Sorry, not Chyrel, no, Kristen Poirier. My names are all messed up right now. That should be a 9 box for Kristen Poirier. Kristen Poirier in the purple on the right on lane 6. The right lane of our pair of lanes. Matt Goodale on lane 5. The left lane of our pair of lanes. Matt Goodale in the black shirt. Kristen Poirier in the purple shirt. Yes, Steve. Chyrel Kneeland is not bowling right now. Kristen Poirier is. Kristen Poirier is off to the left of the head pin. Drops 5. And Matt Goodale, what the heck? That's Well, folks, that was an interesting shot. He's left with the 7, 8, 9, 10. Kind of a sort of a picket fence, sort of a Greek church, maybe kind of somewhere in between. The back row. The Puritan back row. And Matt Goodale tries to play the back row, and he takes 2, leaves 2. Kristen Poirier has got the 1, 6, 8, 10 to contend with, and she'll take 1 and leave 3. 7 box for Poirier and an 8 box for Goodale. 69 after 7 for Goodale and 63 after 7 for Kristen Poirier. And also, didn't talk about this yet, but check out candlepins4cancer.com to sign up for qualifying roll-offs in some of the upcoming tournaments, or if you just want to donate to a great cause. It's a charity organization dedicated towards... hold on a second. It was nearly a strike by Kristen Poirier. Leaves the 9 on the deck. Matt Goodale is not on the head pin. He's got a wiggling head pin in the 7, 8, 10. So yes, Candlepins for Cancer is a charity organization dedicated to assisting folks in the Candlepin bowling community for cancer-related treatments, financial assistance, all of that. And it's an organization in which that's a spare for Kristen Poirier right on the 10 on the single. And Matt Goodale not quite on the spare. 7 box or greater. But Candlepins for Cancer, you can either just donate if you just want to donate to the cause, or if you feel like participating in some of the tournaments and you want to play to possibly win some money as well as that, you can also check those out. The next roll-offs are going to be in Amesbury, Massachusetts at Riverwalk Lanes. And I believe those sign-ups are all live on candlepins4cancer.com. And I think it's all through the month of January, so do check that out. And that just reminded me, I got to sign up for that too. I got to figure out dates for that to show up there myself, because I'll be bowling in that as well. Kristen Poirier on a spare. She's on the head pin, drops 5. Matt Goodale to the right of the head pin. And took a right side, kind of a Candlepin corner, but it was only 2 pins. Kristen Poirier's got the right side 4 horsemen and the 8. 1, 3, 6, 8, 10. with some wood between the 1 and the 3. Kristen Poirier, the ball just tails off the left, takes the back corner pin, or the back pin, and Matt Goodale almost comes around to take the 5, but no mark for Matt Goodale either. So Kristen Poirier with that spare 5, she's at 78 after 8. This could be 8 box, 9 box, maybe a 10. Nope, it'll be a 9 box, 87 after 9 and for Kristen Poirier, and 87 after 9 for Matt Goodale. Hey, how about that? That made my job easy. 87 after 9 for both of our bowlers. So 1 strike for Poirier, 1 strike for Kneeland, 7 spares for both Poirier and Kneeland. They're even in terms of the marks. Exactly even. Kristen Poirier is off to the left of the head pin. And Matt Goodale will take a half Worcester on the right side. The 3 and the 9 are taken out. Poirier for the spare. Ball tails to the right. She takes the right side to make the symmetrical shot. And speaking of symmetry, Matt Goodale does the same thing, completing the trip to Worcester. The old saying was the half Worcester shot was coined on a TV tournament. I believe it was for Channel 5, and it was when a bowler, threw the shot, and the announcer just said he's halfway back to Worcester. But Matt Goodale, fantastic conversion for the half Worcester. 97 after 10 for that with that 10 box, and Kristen Poirier with that 8 box. I believe it is 95 after 10, and yes, those are confirmed. So that's a 5-game total of 481 for Kristen Poirier, and a 5-game total of 582 for Matt Goodale. And is that Matt Goodale's new? No, it is not his new high series. He had a 607, but hey, it came close. Anytime you come close to a 600, you should celebrate that as well. So, all right, so we're back with Demetri Dellas on your left and Chyrel Kneeland on your right. Chyrel Kneeland opens up with a split, a 6-drop. Demetri Dellas on the head pin also opens up with a split. It's a 5-drop. Chyrel Kneeland's got the 4, the 6, the 2, and the 10 to contend with. Demetri Dellas has got the 2, the 3, the 4, the 6, and the 10 to work with. Spare shots. Chyrel Kneeland fires first on the left. She takes 2 on the left and only 2. And same for Dellas. Both bowlers play the left side of their splits and they don't get any kicks. Chyrel Kneeland is working on an 8, 9, or 10 box on the 6 and the 10, and it will be a 10 box, and that will be a 7 box for Demetri Dellas. Chyrel Kneeland, well, let's give you context. So Kristen Poirier finished 19 for 50 on the head pin with 13 splits. Chyrel Kneeland is currently 16 for 46 on the head pin with 10 splits. Kristen Poirier finished with 47 bonus pins in terms of mark fills, averaging 5.9 per mark. Kneeland is at 40 and 5, respectively, in the same stat. Matt Goodale finished with 25 for 50 on the head pin, exactly 50%, and 8 splits. So Chyrel drops 8 with a split, leaving the 8 and the 9, and that's a quarter Worcester for Demetri Dellas. Only the 3-pin fell. Matt Goodale finished with 120 bonus pins on the mark fills, averaging 7.5 per mark. Dellas is currently at 126 and counting for the fills, averaging 7.9 per mark. Dellas is at 28 head pin shots for 47 with 13 splits, and that's an awesome spare by Chyrel Kneeland. Played the wood, took the 8 and the 9. Seven, 8, 6, 10 for Demetri Dellas for a 10 box here. Wood is still settling. We have to wait for the wood to finish settling to a reasonable degree, so it's worth the wait. It's in the rule book. And Demetri Dellas will touch all 10, but he'll take 9. The 10-pin wiggles but doesn't fall down. That's 60 after 7 for Demetri Dellas. 59 and a bonus for Chyrel Kneeland in the 7th. Chyrel Kneeland, 17 headpin shots for 47. Demetri Dellas, 28 for 47. Kneeland on a spare. Drops 6. Not in the headpin, but mixes down 1. Leaves everything with the 1, the 4, the 7, and the 9. And Demetri Dellas, again, not on the headpin. He's only got 2 headpin shots this game so far. It's an 8 drop. No, excuse me, isn't it? Sorry, that's the 5 pin, not the headpin. And Chyrel will take 2, leave 2. Dellas will kick the 5 forward and leave the 10 unharmed. No mark for either bowler. Chyrel will take a 9, leaving the 7 on the deck. Just pausing to clear a piece of wood down there. Thank you, Matt Goodale. While we're waiting, also, if you think Candlepin bowling is your thing and you want to find your nearest center right now, get in a car, go to candlepin.org and click Go Bowling to find your nearest center. It's a 9 box for Demetri Dellas, 69 after 8, and 74 after 8 for Chyrel Kneeland. But yes, even if you're in Albany, New York, there's a bowling center over there. Bowling centers scattered all over New England, of course, particularly the greater Boston area, but going all the way up through Maine. There's also a bunch of centers in Canada as well. They're just not on the map just because we're just focusing on the U.S. for this particular map. But all over New England, Candlepin bowling is all over the place. So get out there and find your nearest center. That's a 7 drop for Chyrel Kneeland, not on the head pin. And Demetri Dellas drops 9, the 4 pin on the deck and a piece of wood that's way out of place. So we're going to once again call on Matt Goodale's services to go down and retrieve and remove the wayward pin. There's a line in which the pins cannot cross down there when they roll forward. So that's in the rule book. They're out of play and they have to be removed if that's the case. So Chyrel Kneeland with a 7 drop on the 1-3, 10. And she'll kick the 1 and 3, but she can't quite get back to the 10. Demetri Dellas. Oh, and he can't quite get the single for a spare. It is possible that Matt Goodale might sneak out of this with 10 points. That's a 10 box for Chyrel Kneeland. Demetri Dellas with a 10 box of his own. So Demetri Dellas, while he started out really hot, these last few games have possibly been kind of bordering on the terms of collapse here, but he's at 577, Goodale's at 582. This last box will be huge for Demetri Dellas in terms of the total, and it will define who ends up being the victor in that Class C matchup. Chyrel Kneeland and Kristen Poirier are actually very close in the total as well, within 3. And Chyrel Kneeland drops 9. Everything but the 7 is dropped. Dellas, oh no, he's on the 3 and the 9 for the half Worcester, right side. Chyrel Kneeland might have a layup right here, and this could be the total. Oh no, I'm sorry, it is the total at this point, but you know what I mean. Pretend it's still still contentious. 94 and a bonus for Chyrel Kneeland with that spare. She did take the 7. Dellas leaves 5 on the deck. He needs 1. Oh, and he does take it, so he will retain the total. He needed that. So that is it for everything here on the 5th. I'm just double checking. Oh, I'm sorry. We've had a lot of these today where the 10th box has been a spare. So excuse me. We'll wait one more ball for Chyrel Kneeland to finish this off, and then we'll assess everything. But Chyrel Kneeland does have the total by 7 and counting. It's a 3 fill. I believe that's 97 for Kneeland and 89 for Demetri Dellas. Oh, my apologies. Apparently Demetri had a 10 in the 8th, so just correcting that. Again, I'm just following the bowlers up there. So 90 for Demetri Dellas in the 5th. Again, I'm just eyeballing the scoreboard up there just to make sure we got it all. Okay, and we are in sync. So, yep, I always go with what the bowlers have. So, again, it's always the bowler's call. Here we go. So, we are at the end of the 5th game. We're at the end of the match. Kristen Poirier just couldn't quite take the 5th game. She had 95, and Chyrel Kneeland had 97, with that spare 3 being the deciding factor. Matt Goodale with a 97 in the 5th, up by 7 over Demetri Dellas' 90. 5-game total of 481 for Kristen Poirier, 491 for Chyrel Kneeland, 582 for Matt Goodale, and 588 for Demetri Dellas. And we'll get the final stats here just generated for you. And here we go. Here we are in terms of the final point differentials today. Kristen Poirier takes 4 points to Chyrel Kneeland's 10. Kristen Poirier finished with a 481, just down by 10 to Chyrel Kneeland's 491. This match came down to the absolute wire, and the points were being passed around all throughout the match. But Chyrel Kneeland just managed to squeak off the total at the very end. And that was the story for Kristen Poirier and Chyrel Kneeland in our Class E North matchup today. 1 strike apiece for both of our bowlers, Kristen Poirier and Chyrel Kneeland. 9 spares for Kneeland and 7 spares for Poirier. In terms of the head pin, it was 38%, 19 for 50 for Kristen Poirier, and 18 for 50 for Chyrel Kneeland. That's a 36%. Both bowlers had somewhat similar splits, but Kristen Poirier had 13 to Chyrel Kneeland's 11. And so Kristen Poirier will move to 42 and 84, while Chyrel Kneeland will move to 89 and 51. And then in our Class C North matchup, Matt Goodale and Demetri Dellas. Matt Goodale will take 6 points, and Demetri Dellas will just barely hold on to 8. It was almost going to be a 10-4 split, but Demetri Dellas held on to the total at the very end with that right down to the final ball. Again, Demetri Dellas started out strong, 147 to 107, and then the 131 to 112, Dellas to Goodale, respectively. But then everything flipped to Matt Goodale's favor, starting in Game 3 and going beyond. 128 to 117, 138 to 103, and 97 to 90. That carried Matt Goodale to 6 points and almost got him the total. But Demetri Dellas just held on at the very end, 588 to Matt Goodale's 582, a difference of 6. So these matches were incredibly close today. So Matt Goodale finished with 3 strikes. Dellas had 2. Matt Goodale had 13 spares. Demetri Dellas had 14. In terms of the head pins, Matt Goodale was just over 50% with 26 for 50. That's 52%. Demetri Dellas was 60% on the head pin, 30 for 50. Demetri Dellas had 4 more splits, though, especially towards the end. In terms of fill totals and averages, Matt Goodale and Demetri Dellas are very similar, 126 to 120. Dellas and Goodale, respectively. So at the end of everything, Matt Goodale will move to 77 and 49. Demetri Dellas will move to 82 and 30. All right, so that should just about do it for us here at the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour, this doubleheader match at Boutwells Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire. I've been Steve Kelly. It's been great broadcasting this for you today, and I invite you to strike, comment, subscribe to all of our socials that we talked about in the 5th game. But anyways, we'll see you at the next Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour match. Have a great one, everybody.